Hello, welcome again to another episode of Wild and Wingless. Tonight, episode 7. I've got with myself the man from Mildura, now lives in Adelaide, Tyson Martin, mate. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. How are you tonight? You feeling good?
Oh man, I'm great.
You,
Happy to be talking to you. That's the main thing.
oh, look at that. That goes well. That goes well. For people who don't know, I don't know a lot about you either. Thank you for agreeing to come on. Can you give us a bit of a background racing history of how you where you started and how you got to Wingless?
So probably started in 2013. I was mates with a bloke at school, and he said, "Come on out." He raced speedway karts in Mildura, and we went out and crewed for him. And at the time, we had dirt bikes and stuff like that at the time, and we went to go. Dad looked into going dirt bike racing, but it was going to be way too expensive. And then I'd come home from watching the speedway car event, and I was like, "Man, Dad, we gotta do this." So I made the hard decision as a 13-year-old kid to sell my dirt bike, and Dad got me just I think it was an AX6 or an AX9 at the time or something, and we started doing that, and from there we travelled all across the countryside doing that. We did very, very well in speedway karting, which I was very fortunate for. So we won 3 South Australian titles, won 5 Victorian titles, and 4
Jeez.
track championships at Mildura and one at Melbourne, and placed second in the Australian title 3 times in karting. And
Wow.
yeah, so we covered some massive Ks between Tassie to Toowoomba. We raced at Toowoomba when it was still the Speed Bowl and raced on the big track. And yeah, we raced up in Darwin, and we probably about 2016, I started doing ADCA, which is a different form. So that's like a circuit on dirt, where a lot of probably like that's mainly SA based, NT based. And so also raced a bit of that around the SA area and then up in Alice Springs and stuff like that. So did a fair bit of that all the way up until about 2020, when I jumped into the wingless and got the amazing opportunity to do that, and the rest has been history.
Yeah, right. Okay, so 2020 you stepped into wingless. So it's been 4 years seasons now. You've been doing that. Um, we're going to come back to how that happened because that's a amazing story if you ask me. You applied for the Speedway Australia Rising Star program
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you
So
got
I,
accepted.
yeah, so fortunately, I tried the year before and I didn't get in, and then luckily the year after I got in, which super stoked about. That was such a cool experience and something that I hope Speedway Australia does bring back. I think I did it in my year. A few of the people I did it with was Kirby Hillier, actually.
Oh yeah, yep.
I didn't know the bloke from Bar Soap because I was still racing karts at that time and had nothing to do with wingless. And did it with Benny Atkinson Jr. and
Huh,
few of those guys. Alex Ross.
yep.
Unsure whether he'd won his Aussie title or was about to win his Aussie title. And yeah, that was amazing. It was such a great opportunity spending a week over there, and probably, I don't know, probably definitely a uh, mindset shift for me, because sort of helped me realize that, man, if Speedway Australia, as an organization, can do this for us, like we're obviously in a sport that can be on a major level. And so, and especially speaking to people there, we had dietitians and psychiatrist people, I think.
Yep.
And then obviously Benny Bish and Wade and stuff. And I think it was a very big shift in the fact that, like, sort of, we always knew, but you're always realizing that we are the next generation. And
Yeah.
sort of the way we sort of advertise ourselves and promote the sport is the direction it'll go. And so from then on out, I was massively keen to, like, just get in and try and promote myself and try and lift the sport, because hopefully one day the dream is to be as good as bitumen racing. And I think dirt deserves that. I think we put on just as good racing. I know I've been to so many supercar events, and you watch Porsches go out, one crashes, and then you spend the rest of their race under yellow just in single file watching them, which is unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. or my favorite one, you can go there and spend your whole time at the side attractions as well. So is it
Yeah,
really that
exactly.
good? I'm not too sure. Back. So how does that program work? I know you guys go to the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra, and they
Yeah.
put you through a small. I just remember seeing a video once of Paul Marcus Dumsey doing like the beep test or something like that. I thought it was amazing. Um,
Yes, there's, like, lots of things I guess you do over the week. So we fly in there. Christ, it was a while ago now,
while
but
ago,
we
okay, so
fly
I'm pushing the friendship. All right,
um,
that's all right. So, but they
we
they taught you a whole bunch of things about not only your body, sort of get your body right, it mentally being prepared. But one thing I've noticed from yourself is not only your results on the track, but your social media presence. Um, Speaking with you for a couple of minutes, the way you conduct yourself when you're speaking as well is actually really good. So, would that be another bit of a product you got from the Rising Star program? Because you're very
oh,
good with your social media and the way you handle yourself.
yeah, so absolutely. That's obviously something you learn there and they talk to you about and give you ways and tips and like obviously one probably big takeaway I took from Wade, he said like give yourself the best chance, like and yeah, it's just trying to get in a sport where it's hard to move up if you don't have heaps of money and things like that. The biggest thing is you got to sell yourself.
Yep.
Uh, and I don't know, trying to keep sponsors on, and I've always had sponsors make comment of how they like what I'm doing and stuff like that. So each year I just try and step it up and do a little bit better. And like for instance, Todd Hobson's doing a great job at what he's doing, and
Yep.
like his videos. And I'd love to get to that stage. It's a lot to do. I give him credit, like trying to do like Facebook updates and writing the long Facebook posts and yeah, and trying to do videos and video editing on top of that. That's like a lot to take on, though. I think, yeah, I took a lot away from that and just how people judge your character and things like that. And it's all important. It all adds up.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's probably a good thing you did do that program because that brings me to my next part, which is the more family racing um, in the car you're in now. So there's a huge story behind that. When I heard about this story, I almost fell off my chair. I thought, wait, what? I had to read that like 4 or 5 times. Um, I I hope no one else knows the story. So this is going to be good for everyone. Can you shed light on that Facebook post that pretty much changed everything?
Yeah. So I was, at the time, I was uh, just doing mechanical engineering, just started doing mechanical engineering at university. So obviously, I was very, very fortunate because I managed to score a room at Michael Miller and Angie Miller and Ryan Alexandria's parents' house. And fortunately for them, I was actually able to go to uni because otherwise we were sort of unsure about how I was going to rent a room or whether we were going to be able to afford to get me to uni. And so they were a racing household. So I slipped into there and they were amazing people and they took me in and stuff like that. And then I was talking with Ryan, I don't know, probably a few weeks prior to all this happening. And I was like, man, I just wish there was like more grassroots. Like, I wish people took a shot on like younger kids and stuff like that and people in karting. Cause at the time, I was sort of getting to that stage in karting where it was like, do I keep doing this or what do I do? And I remember vividly, I was at uni just on the computers there and dad shot me through this like Facebook post and Normie, I think it was actually Naomi, put it up a video of Normie driving so the S12 car. So that was their spare car that Normie had built up. And there was like a video of the car driving in. And they were just announcing that it was like ready to go. And she's like, there was expressions of interest and they wanted to give the drive to someone who wouldn't normally get the opportunity. So like an up and comer or a go-karter or and at the time, I was like, "Oh, yeah." I looked at it, it had, like like 60 comments on it, and
Nice.
I was like, "Holy smokes," and dad's like, "Get onto it, get onto it,"
Yeah.
and, uh, I remember thinking, I was like, "How do I get these people's attention? Like, what do I do differently?" And so I I actually looked at it the other day before coming on here, and I wrote this, like, little racing resume. It essentially said, like, who I am, what I do, touched on like my personal life and all the accomplishments I'd made and like where I lived and my situation and stuff like that. And I sent it to him, and Naomi sent me a response. Oh, it would have been like probably only a few hours later. Naomi responded, but it felt like an eternity. Like when you want something so
Yeah.
bad, and it just like,
Yeah.
and then like you're just waiting there checking to see if they've read it or not.
Yeah.
And she got come back to me and she said like, "Oh, Normie will touch base with you and things like that." And I spoke to Normie over the phone and never didn't know the bloke from Barra. So I I'd driven a wingless twice before for like 5 laps. I think Jason Belartho gave me a go in one of his cars, and
Nice.
Mitch Gladman gave me a go just at like those come and try days,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
raced with them and stuff like that. And I remember like cold calling Normie, had no idea who this bloke was, and just talking to him, and I was like, explained it. I was like, mate, gonna be honest with you, like, I can't really afford to do this. Like, if I got to bring like big money and stuff like that. And he's like, no, no. He's like, it's the whole deal is like, I want an up and coming driver. And he's like, if you crash some stuff, he's like, you might have to sit like a few meetings out until we can work out a way to get you back in the car. But he's like, credit to him and Naomi. Probably the thing I'll say at the start is like, anything they say they'll do for me or do, they do it. Like their word is like Bible, and it's amazing. And I went to Normie's shed on the 13th of June to sort of suss the car out and look at it all. And to be quite frank, I went out there to suss the car. I had no idea what I was looking at. I was like, all I knew was a wingless sprint car, and all I knew was that I wanted to go sprint car racing.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
this was going to be the stepping stone I needed. And on the 13th of June, 2020, I shook his hand and I was like, let's do it. And then I borrowed, my cousin had just finished racing 360 sprint cars, and I got his helmet and like his Hans device to borrow, and my other cousins like boots, and they were too small for me. And then Michael Miller lent me a suit, and that was like double XL, and so that was too big for me. And but I got everything together in time, and we went to the practice day. We were about to go to the practice day, and the S12 car had issues. So he had his S11, which was the main car, and the black car we call it, and then he had the white car, and I was just going to drive the seconds car, and didn't want to go on the day, and
Oh.
so I was like, oh no, I was like, this is probably a sign or
Yep.
something that maybe
Yep.
like I'm way too far out of my league. And to his word, he's like, oh, well, that's fine, we'll put you in my car, and took the seat out and put
Wow.
the seat into his car and went to practice, and I went around all right, and he comes back. I came back in, and he's like, I think we're heading home or something. And he's like, I might just leave you in my car for a little bit, and we'll just get you up to speed and stuff like that. And yeah, it wasn't until ages after that he's like, I was actually really impressed at what you did at practice. And stayed in the 11 car, and then I think he didn't race for a while, and then he just started driving the second car, and I just stayed in the main car. And I think he always says that he'd probably rather just crew and watch. Like Normie's had a big career. Normie started in street stocks, and then he went to V6 sprints and was in V6 sprints for ages and raced speed cars, and then went to the wingless category. And yeah, and then so ever since then, he just left me in the main car, and all has been history, really. He just virtually put a sideline on his racing, and he just took me all around the country, and couldn't be more thankful for him and Naomi and what they've done for me. Like, it's been just incredible.
Yeah. No, it's been a very I don't know. To me, that story, I sit there thinking like I was blown away that even happened.
Yeah.
I think just to try and sort of put yourself in your shoes to send that message, sort of what would have gone through your head, I think would have been just incredible. I find it funny that what your dad did by saw the post and screenshot it, sent it to you. Oh, you get onto this because yeah, I do the same thing with Tyson whenever I see something when I'm floating around on Facebook or whatever. I'm like, oi, get onto this, get onto this. So it's good your dad's sort of looking out for you in that retrospect. But yeah, hats off to the Moore family for taking a chance on you. And I'll tell you what, if there is a kid to take a chance on, it probably you're the one. Your stats are pretty good after 4 seasons. We've got what have we got here? We got two South Australian overall points, state points champions. You got rookie of the year. So I'll go through more statistics, but rookie of the year. What do you think about that? Are you like what does that make like?
It probably means a lot. It sort of for some people it means heaps. I remember Normie coming on, and the only thing he said to me at the start of the season, he doesn't put pressure on me at all, but he always joked around that he won Rookie of the Year for every class he's ever been in,
Nice, nice.
and like it was always just that hovering
Yep.
over. And I remember, so I won my first season. I won the overall SA points and the Rookie of the Year. I bet uh, Chadwick by like 4 points, I think, in the overall.
Really?
Yeah, I think because I did more races that season. But uh, nonetheless, that was like pretty cool feeling because obviously when I come into it, he was like pinnacle, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was just good feeling, and more than anything, I was just excited to sort of prove and reward Normie and Naomi for the effort they put in for me, and like my whole family, everyone around me, my partner and stuff. They backed me 100% for it, and so we all dived into it head first, not knowing what was going to happen, and to get obviously the points, like win and rookie of the year, and that was just it was a great night, and I'll be forever proud of like what we achieved that season.
Yeah. I think me personally, I think rookie of the year is a it's an honor to achieve. I believe because you don't get a second stab at it. So whenever I see rookie of the year, I always think whoever it is with that. Yeah, people can say, "Oh, there was only 3 rookies that year, or 2, or whatever." Doesn't matter. Like that, they had to do something. So to see people uh, taking to it as quickly as they have, especially wingless racing, I think is fantastic. Um, uh, then after that was you did 2 South Australian state titles. They were back to back, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Before we go much further, because I want to talk about them. What's the most South Australian state titles anyone has won? Like, so you've got 2 now. Does Chadwick have like more than that, or
I think Chadwick's got 3.
3? All
I
right, so
think
that would be the
because I think he got like, oh, don't quote me on this because I'm not great
no,
on
because
history, but
I've said it in
I
another
think he got
episode.
a back. I think he got a back-to-back one, and then I remember my first season I come in, um, he won the SA title at Murray Bridge there,
Right.
and yeah, I remember because he when I started he was S5, and then in that season he went to S1 when he
Right.
won the SA title, and then I got it the next 2 years, I believe, and
Yeah.
then Tyson obviously won it this year.
Well, close enough, just a different Tyson. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
exactly.
All right, let's talk about your first because I think state titles championship is amazing. So your first state title win was what track was that at?
So that was Mount Gambier.
Mount Gambier.
Yeah.
Had you
So,
been there often before that, or
yeah, we've been there a few times. Like originally, I was born in Mount Gambier, and so we have like a lot of family and family friends down there and things like that.
yep,
That SA title was, I don't know, it was to me it was very fairy tale like,
right,
because we unfortunately like my mum passed away, and she never got to see me race, and she was from Penola and stuff, and she's currently at Penola, and like grandparents, so my mum's parents, they're not really that mobile, and nobody told me, but they managed to get them up into a corporate box, which is like
oh wow,
amazing. And I had no idea. I didn't know until like after the heats, and we rolled out, and no kidding, Normie had that thing on rails. I couldn't do anything wrong in the car, like, and like we had we had a red. Unfortunately, Jake Ashworth was in a massive incident,
yep,
and we'd only been like, probably would have been like only 4 or 5 laps in. It was a red flag, and I was in the lead. I'd never really led a big race before, and it's a funny story. Normie and I have it talk about it all the time, and I remember that it was an open red, and car felt great, and Normie come out, and I'm sitting in there strapped in, and I didn't release my belts. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, heart was going a million miles a minute, and I was like, Normie, I was like, what do we do? What do we do? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, and like, Stora's old man's running out with like 9/16 spanners. People have got wheel wrenches. There's air pressures, and people run out with air tanks, and there's shocks and shit going everywhere. And Normie's like, and I could hear like all this ruckus behind me, and I was like, "Do I get out the car?" And Normie's like, "Don't get out the car." He's like, "No one's out the car." And meanwhile, everyone was out of their car. And Normie's like, "No one's out of their car." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure I just seen Kirby walk past." And he's like, "Only Kirby's out of his car." um, and Normie's like, "What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know. Like, you're the crew chief." I was like, he's like, "Does the car feel bad?" And I was like, "No, the car feels like it's on wraps." And he's like, "So we'll leave it." And um, yeah, that night, I like just, I don't know. It was kind of like one of those things where you just can't sort of believe it until it happens, and you sort of reflect on it. And we spent that whole rest of the race, and I remember in the last few laps, like I was still new to this whole gig of like moving around and trying to find the rubber and trying to find the
Yeah.
slick and like the fast bits of the track. And I got to a point where we had a pretty healthy lead, and I was just trying to make my car 3 lanes wide. Like
Yep.
I was coming in the corner, just sweeping across the corner, just trying to hope that someone was going to slide me, or if they were going around the top, I'd cut the momentum. Or and yeah, then when we crossed the line, it was just like unreal. And to have all my family, friends, like dad was on the hill going nuts, and it was just amazing to have everyone there. And it was just probably the race I'll never forget.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's a good. And is that the trophy behind you for that one?
Yeah, so this that little green one,
Yeah,
we
nice,
we
nice.
eventually got it at the Murray Bridge Calcutta for the Aussie title. So
Oh
it's a
man,
bit
at
of a
least
delayed trophy, but we got it, and I'm very happy just to have something that you can sort of reflect on, look at, and reflect on.
yeah. I mean, at least you got the trophy at the Calcutta. No one gets a trophy at the Calcutta, so
Yeah.
well done on that one. You won there. Okay, so then the second year, the follow up to that, what track was that at? Was that at Murray Bridge? No.
No, that was a Whyalla.
Whyalla, really? You
Yeah,
guys went all the way
yeah,
over there. Okay. What
yeah.
did you think about
So
that track?
it's I guess it's the same with every little track. Like obviously little tracks get bad raps because the racing's tighter, everyone's on the pole line, and 9 times out of 10, all us drivers get hot headed, and we all like just trying to win, and we crash into each other and spin out. And I feel bad for some of the little tracks because they cop the blame,
Yeah,
and it's like, well, they're only a little track, like they don't have heaps banking. And while it was pretty good, like throughout the heats, we didn't do amazing in the heats. Pretty sure I made hard work for us, and we were out of like 6 or 8 or something. I remember we're on the outside,
oh,
and
what in the feature?
yeah,
Really?
and yeah. So
Jeez.
we, to be completely honest, I didn't really think much of our opportunity, but at the same time, I'm like ridiculously stubborn, and so like I'll try until like there's nothing left. And um, unfortunately for Rylan Furler, like that was his race to win. He was so quick all night, and then we had a red for something that was a massive tangle, and I pulled up near the pit fence, and like Normie was there, and he's like, "Man, it's peeling tires." And you sort of look around, and fortunately for Rylan, like he was in the lead, and he'd stopped like further up the straight, and
Yeah.
it was black. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's one that got away for him, and but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And um, he eventually, I think he was the first casualty, and he blew his right rear, and then passed a few more cars, and we got to we got into second, and Chadwick was in the lead, and then the Northern Territory Zach Grimshaw passed me,
Yep.
and he like, because I think I got, it was had a little bit of character in the track, a few ruts and stuff like that, and I think I got caught out, and he passed me, and I watched him enter in front of me, and his right rear just peeled blue smoke, and I was like, "Oh, that tire's going in no
Jeez.
time at all."
Yep.
And sure enough, like 2 laps later, he peeled off, and then I was trying to be cautious and just run a little bit high just so I didn't completely burn the tire out. And yeah, fortunately, managed to get around the top of Chadwick and sort of,
Yeah,
and then
right.
yeah, so we part both state titles past Chadwick around the top to win.
Jeez.
Um,
Not many
and
people can say that to win a state title. They're past Chadwick.
yeah,
That's
so like I think his tire was going too, and then I I probably should have used my head a little bit more, but then I got to lead, and Mitch Broom and I had like unreal race because I think he had more tire than I did. He was
right.
trying everything to like get me off the line. And one point we smacked wheels, and like we were both in the air, and then we like come down, and I like chopped his nose, and he was like right in my Nerf bar, and it was such a good race to the end. But when we finished, there was literally just canvas on the tire,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, there was nothing left. I don't even think I could have done like a parade lap. I don't think.
Really?
Yeah.
You got your money's worth on that one.
Oh, absolutely. Every bit out of that brand new lab.
Yeah. So that's when you run the sticker as well. You leave the sticker on just to give that a little bit more.
Oh, don't go to the sticker. Normie loves the sticker. I
Does
can't
he?
stand the sticker. Yeah.
I got shot one day because I removed the sticker from tar racing. I always remove them, so I remove them, and I'm not going to name the guy, but Billy Roberts, Grizzly Shocks, told me I just doomed us, and I think Tyson went out and won that race too. So I don't think we doomed,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No.
no, all right. So you're one with the sticker too, yeah. So normally I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Right. So that's your two state titles, and again, you would have had a really good shot at the Mildura if you know the misfortunes didn't go your way, but
Yeah. That's racing, unfortunately.
I'm going to go ahead and say that race for me, I like working. Tyson drives. I just work on the car and I look around. I try and look for people to stir up, and I stir up Todd Hobson a fair bit, calling him Troy Hudson, my new nickname for him. But I was sort of looking around, and I was watching the way your team was operating. Just throughout the course of the night. This is earlier on, right? So I watched how you guys rolled the car off. I sort of kept an eye on you guys because you're the state champ. Like I'm looking, I'm thinking, all right, what makes these guys? But I think it was the communication I saw between yourself and Normie. I thought was really good. Like there was, it's not just it's almost like the same with the Fitzpatricks and Todd Hobson. Like you've got that. You guys know what you're there for. You both got a role to do, and you get on and do it. You both have the passion for what you guys are doing. But the way you guys work together, I was really impressed by. I walked past you a few times, and I was impressed. So from what I saw, the way you handled yourself outside the car, then when things didn't go the way it was meant to go for you guys, the way, like man, you could have, you know, kicked cats and thrown tennis balls at people, but I thought you did that really well. And I actually recall, I think you were one of the first people to come up to Tyson and congratulate him. So I thought that
Hmm.
was pretty cool. And yeah, so that's always stuck in my mind with you. So your parents have done a good job raising you right. Another prestigious award you got was the South Australian Driver of the Year. Now, to
Yeah.
me, this is another award that I think is up there with your Rookie of the Year. But the Driver of the Year, you can't win this based on money. You can't just throw right rears at it and hope so. This is voted upon your peers. So to receive that award, I think that's pretty good for someone who's only been in it for as short a career as you have. How did you feel
Yeah.
about that?
I was pretty proud of that one. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's one of those things where not last year, but the season before when we did get it, like we had an unreal season. And that's the thing. Like it says driver of the year on the trophy, but man, it was like the whole team and everyone behind the scenes. Like you touched on just before, over the past like 4 years, Normie and I have been able to sort of work out how each other, and we both know our roles when we get to the track. And I trust him with setup, and we, like anything, like you learn a level of communication, I guess, and he understands what I mean, and I understand what he means. And um, Naomi, and like she's always driving the car around and keeps that car $1 million. Like my partner, like Louise, she puts up with me on and off the track, and she follows me around doing what I love. And yeah, my old man and the whole rest of my family, like everyone, all my sponsors and stuff that were on that car made that year possible. And like I couldn't be more thankful for that. And it was rewarding getting that, knowing that all those people who put that effort in help execute that. And we like won the Murray Bridge Track Championship that year, and we obviously we retained the SA title and we won the 60 lapper through a little bit of controversy, but um, we got that and we got fourth in the SummerSlam. And um, yeah, the level of week in, week out consistency we were able to achieve that year, I was just so proud of. And I was just very grateful that I was able to receive that. And for me, I believe I received that for on behalf of like the team, I guess you would put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the whole beauty of that is, yeah, like you were voted for, like, which I think was great. So everyone saw the extent you guys went to, the commitment you gave, the fact you don't get that award for being one of these drivers who just runs over people or shows disrespect to people. So I think when you hear about drivers being given that award, I think it holds true to their character, which you can fake a lot of things in life, but you can't fake that. So yeah, to hear you got that, I'm not surprised because the short time I've known you, you've been yeah, well-adjusted kid. So that's awesome. Um, Move forward to your Murray Bridge Track Championship. That would have been a pretty good thing to win. Being a young kid back in the day, in the karting, going to the Murray Bridge, watching the sprint cars, thinking one day about being racing on that track yourself, and then going and winning the track championship. That would have been like a cool thing. Hell, I would have
Yeah,
loved to have done that.
yeah, it was pretty awesome. And yeah, like you said, growing up, we used to always go to Boxing Day, like with
Yep.
sprint cars at Murray Bridge for Speed Week on Boxing Day and stuff like that. And even just yeah, going and watching every other meeting. Like I watched the first year of that 60 lapper when it was like 10 grand to win and stuff like that on the hill. And you sort of like sit there and
Yeah.
dream, I guess, as just a kid sitting on the hill. And um, yeah, then it was sort of funny. The first two seasons, we I sucked at Murray Ridge. We couldn't
Really?
work that. Yeah, we couldn't work that joint out to save our life. And luckily, we had Will Shocks come on, and he helped us set all our shocks up and get a little bit more of a program going. And
Yep.
man, the car felt on rails, and that made a huge difference. And Norman and I sort of worked out a few more things, and it's just comes down to that experience thing and
Yeah.
him still understanding what I want and me being able to articulate that. Felt a little bit like cold trickle at the time. Like I didn't have the vocabulary to do it. And
Right. Nice.
um yeah, it's sort of one of those things. And yeah, when we went in there and we had uh the coolest thing was is when we go there and we had two nights where we'd like got maximum points. So we'd won both heats and the feature, and that was like pretty awesome feeling. Not only as a driver but for a team and stuff like that. And just knowing that we had a good package and we're able to do this consistently was just pretty cool, to be completely honest.
Right.
And we missed a round for that championship.
Really?
Yeah. So
Jeez. Going easy on him, I see. Jeez, far out. Now, was that the same year you won the 60 lapper?
yeah, yep.
Right. Okay. So tell us about the 60 lapper, what you experienced in that one.
So we did really well. I don't know whether we started on the front row and I think we started a little bit back, and we sort of got to the front, and it's a long race. So you're like pacing yourself, and Jack took off, and he's always like a rocket ship. And I don't know, just over time, I like slowly got a little bit closer and got a little bit closer, and then um, we had like what I thought was a super cool race, and it's unfortunate the race ended the way it did, but like there was like 3 laps where we like traded slide jobs every corner.
Yeah,
And
nice.
like we just crossed back, and then it was like super cool racing. And it sort of felt like when you race those fast guys at the front, like you like Jack's an aggressive guy and an aggressive racer, and I respect him for that. But like knowing you can race that close and still give each other room, like I got tight one time and we're like got so close together, and he still railed around the outside. And yeah, I threw everything but the kitchen sink at him, and he crossed the line. Kirby Hillier nearly got me over the line, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You got to
because
watch out for him, eh? He's like a
oh
silent but
yeah,
deadly. He'll, yeah,
yeah, I was like trying so hard at Jack, and then I
yeah.
think I bent the Jacobs ladder because we're getting so close to the fence off the corner,
Yeah.
and I kept like smacking it, and car got tight, and then Kirby nearly got me across the line, but then yeah, and then unfortunately Jack went underweight, and there was a whole like sort of issue with that, and we were then relegated the win, which was I was still super proud of. Like I felt like we put a car that could do 60 laps on that track, and we rolled over the scales at 15:20, I think.
15, 20.
Oh, Normie didn't want that thing run out of fuel. He topped
How
that thing right up.
60? So I'm going off topic here, but I've seen you, right? I've seen you not in your race suit. There's not much to you. I'm not being rude, and I know what my Tyson's got. Much to him, not much. And I know the problems we have trying to gain weight, especially when this weight rule went to 1450, and everyone wants to jump on my back about running all these titanium parts. We don't run titanium parts. Um, I lied. We've got the shock nuts are titanium. That's it. Everything else is steel. Like as heavy steel as I can find. And I find it so difficult to get us to be weight on weight, knowing. Like I said to you before, at the South Australian State title at Mildura earlier this year, when he crossed the line, I thought we've just had a battle and a half. I've chewed all my fingernails gone with all these cautions going through. Thinking if I just end the race. Now we're going to go over the scales. So I was on the quad bike and I raced down there, and because Tyson hears a number and doesn't tell me what it is, so I got down there and I was like listening, and I was talking to Liam Oranger was the commentator. And I was saying, I said, hang on, I've got to hear what we weighed at. And then when I saw the thumbs up, I thought, okay, but how much we got left in the tank? Because it wouldn't have been much. But to run 60 laps and you guys still came in at 15, what did you say? 15,
15:20, I think we
15,
were.
20.
Yeah.
Man, you guys.
We were running, we didn't have many tire parts on that car at all. And we had the rims and stuff were running with Dirt X, so they were a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I've gone down all the parts. It's
Yeah.
frustrating that I don't think that the weight rule was thought about correctly, because I'm seeing a lot of young kids, especially in South Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
And Evans, a young Evans kid, I think he
Yeah,
is.
Caleb and Lockie. There's
Mate,
not much of them.
no, they're gonna have to wear concrete boots. Like, no, I don't mean in a bad way. I don't mean in a bad way. I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying, like,
I understand where you're going.
we've got these young kids coming into the sport, and it's one of the things is these cars just, yeah. So I feel bad for Jack, because I mean, yeah, Jack McCarthy is not a big fella, but yeah,
No, that
just
car, like his car, would have to be like the most front running car, and such a nice car to look at.
oh yeah, yeah,
And like, I would not surprise me. Like I spoke to him about it, and he said he's got scales at home and stuff like that, and wouldn't surprise me because he is like a very much perfectionist, and
yeah. Very particular. I
like
saw his exhaust system in the Australian title up at Lismore, and I was
gorgeous looking
just like,
thing, isn't it?
oh, how do you
Yeah.
want that to get dirty, man? You don't want that to get dirty.
How does he keep it clean?
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
I
that I have no idea. I found out. You know what I found out just the other day? I know this is completely off topic. I asked Mark Blight, and I said to him, because we run one of his Dynaflow exhausts, I said to him, mate, how do you keep your exhaust looking so good and mine looks terrible? He goes, how do you wash yours? I said, just. He goes, no, mate, you got to get a brush. I was like, whoa, pump the brakes. No one told me I got to do this much work to this thing.
Yeah, no.
Oh, mate,
We
not looking
we
forward to
got
it.
to the point where we started painting them black, and then
Oh,
just
really?
yeah, just fiddly bits. That'll do.
Nice. I'm going to
Yeah,
try that. Nice, nice.
yeah.
All right. So, uh, is this in the same year? So you win track championship, state championship, the 60 lapper. Was this the same year you went up to Northern Territory?
No, that was the year
All
before.
right, year before. Sorry, so I've jumped. So year before you went to Northern Territory and you've placed third at their state title,
Yeah,
but you would have been
yeah.
the South Australian champion then, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or did you get the third, then win the
No,
South Australian?
I think we were. I think we were
Yeah.
at the time.
Jeez, you're
Um,
racking them up very quickly.
yeah, we were, because I got that in the second season. We're still in the black car before I got a full blown sticker kit, because we were running a rolling billboard there at that time.
Nice.
I was able to get some businesses on board and stuff like that, and Normie's car was black and stuff, and so we would just sticker slapping sponsors on it.
Love it.
Um,
Perfect. That's what we want to
yeah,
see. So
yeah.
where was that Northern Territory race at?
That was at Alice Springs.
Oh, did you go to Alice Springs?
Yeah, boy, oh boy, wasn't that experience.
Ooh.
Holy dooly.
Yeah, how did it go?
Um,
Paint the picture.
uh, it was good. We rolled in there, and like those guys are just when you go racing like Victoria, you go racing like New South Wales, and like very not political, but very structured kind of thing, and like everyone's there to race, and
Yep.
like you roll in, there's like a sense of like this a sense of tension like at the track. And we rolled in. These dudes are loose as. They're all just loving life. They're just happy to be there.
Wow.
And it was like we rolled in with a few other SA cars, and like there was no form of structure. I was like, man, are we going to get scrutineered? Or they just come around their merry time. And then we had like driver's briefing, and um, I went and looked at the track, and the track is just like a pure circle, almost like Lismore, like
Really?
nearly. But it's like super sandy, and it's
Okay.
like, and I remember going out there, and I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting because like he's constantly turning, like there's no sort of straight to it, and
Yeah.
we did all right. Um, oh, we didn't do that. Oh, we did average on the first night, and then they ran a prelim, but there was no points on the prelim, so no one actually had to do it. And so some guys at the front chose to not do it, and I
Right.
was like, normally when I looked at each other, and we're like, we come all this way, we might as well
You
do
may
it.
as well do it. Yeah.
Um, so we started like near the back, and we come through, and we won that night, which was cool. We got to the front and won the prelim, and then because normally like you have like a front, middle, and a back for your heats or something,
Yep.
and we done like 2 heats on day one, and then I think I had like uh two no, it was like it's like sixth and a eighth or something, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, like wicked, we'll be up the front or in like the heat on the final day."
Yep.
And I was like, "Hopefully, we can capitalize on that." And we roll in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've done like the grids for the next race," and they just like done a random grid. So then I was out of six again, I think, and I
Oh,
was like,
really? So you could have been anywhere. You could have been down the back.
yeah, I could have
Wow.
been anywhere, and
Nice.
it was like it was interesting
Yep.
because we kind of made it a challenge, and the track wasn't great to pass on at the time, and the heat we went, it had rained a little bit, and so it made it super hard to pass on.
Yeah. Right.
And but credit to them, the track come in pretty good for the feature. They just sort of took a little bit of rubber down the bottom, and so it made it hard with that sandy. It was like pretty flat to pass around the outside, and so uh, Zach Grimshaw was off the front row, I think, and then it was Reese Heinrich. He's
Oh, yeah.
another SA guy
Yep.
who was fast at the time, and yeah, sort of tucked in, had a good race with Reese, and just couldn't get past Reese, and so had to settle for third. But no, like great group of guys up there, and guys and girls, and they're all so accommodating and all lovely, and
Nice.
yeah, it was super funny experience,
You,
but
you
cool
won't forget
experience at
that
the
one in
same
a
time.
hurry.
No,
Uh,
like I don't think I go back to Alice Springs. I didn't love it.
would you? Yeah. Would you do the chariots?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've.
I not Normie and I were thinking about doing it, but then we decided, oh no, we'll put it off and we'll go next year. Like
Yep.
we'll have a bit more experience under our belt and stuff like that, and we'll go up and
Wait.
have a bit better
When
crack at
was
it.
Normie saying this? Before or after you won two South Australian state titles, 2 points
Uh
champions, track champion, rookie of the year? Like, how much more experience you boys need? Like, far out. You're killing it.
I think it was probably the year I won the first SA
Okay,
title.
so you just started rolling. All right. Yep.
Yeah. So like we were only I think prior to the SA title, I'd only won like a prelim feature at Horsham.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I was very lucky. So it was the June meeting at Horsham, and we went out there, and just like we had the car on rails. Normally, had the car on rails, and felt like I couldn't do anything wrong. And I had like a huge lead, and then I remember there was a yellow, and I didn't realize at the time, but it started raining,
Yep.
and we're in this yellow rolling around, and apparently the rain was getting heavier, and I knew this. I think Luke's story was behind me, and I could hear them all like revving up and spinning up, and I was like, "Man, are they trying to like intimidate me, or
Yeah.
what are they doing? Like it's working. Like I'm thinking about them." And Anyway, then some bloke like walks out near the track and he's like trying to like spread out, and I was like, "Oh, no worries." And so I went put my foot flat and just went nowhere, and I was
Really?
like it was that wet, and like the track was pretty black, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble here." And then there's only like 3 laps to go, and they called it off, and I said to Normie, I was like, "Man, lucky they did that because I did not realize it was even raining."
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
you got nothing come through from your visor or anything like that. Just your sun
No,
visor just blocked everything.
I was pretty naive at the time. For leading my first like proper
Jeez.
main, I wasn't really thinking about any
Wow.
weather because I don't even think there was supposed to be weather coming.
Yeah.
But
Right. Okay.
it was crazy. And then yeah, the next day I finished second to Mitch Broom.
Now that's not a bad second to have. He's a pretty quick old
Nah,
Mitch Broom. Yeah.
nah, we have this sort of running joke. We got to the pole shuffle and I'd sort of watch Mitch and he had like a decent jump on the outside every time. And
Yep.
then I was like, oh, when he gets to me, when I go out, I'm not gonna let him do the jump because he'd done well. He'd come from like sixth and he was like up to I think I was second.
Yeah.
So
Right.
then we went up against each other in like a shootout, and I was like, no, you're not gonna jump on me. And so we came around the corner, I just took off and I got told to go to the infield and he continued on. And then
What a bugger.
yeah, but it was super funny. Again, another awesome race. Like he
Yeah.
deserved to win that because he put on
I
he hit his marks every time.
I've heard of Mitch Broom. You obviously you hear of the guy. Yeah, he's very successful, like yourself. Great car. Like man, his presentation
But
on that car is amazing. And when I think I saw him after the South Australian title or something like that. Like, so we gone to Park Fermé, and I've gone to go get a beer and come back, and I've got to take parts off the car, whatever I got to do there. And next thing we're back at the trailer, and Tyson's talking to this, I'm going to say a big guy in this red polo, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, okay, must have been one of the crew or something. He goes, oh no, that's Mitch Broom. I'm thinking, he's huge.
yeah,
He's
all dude,
huge.
all
Look
dude.
far out. He's like he
Gets
should be a
around all
football
right.
player or something. I don't know, like massive. Anyway,
He does play footy.
does yeah. Well, there you go. Actually, I think
Yeah.
I saw a Tyson, him, and Jacob Jolly were doing a Wade interview, and I think his dad is a. I don't follow AFL. I don't know who, but
Oh, his dad's a mad Collingwood fan, I'm
there
pretty
you
sure.
go. They talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it. Yep. So
yeah.
anyway, shout out to you, Mitch Broom. Give me a call sometime. Let's have a chat. All right. So once you've done that, this is one thing I want to talk about. So you ran the SummerSlam series as well last season, was it?
Yeah, I've ran the past 3 seasons now.
Last three you've ran. So, but you finished what was
Yeah.
it, fourth last season?
No, no,
Oh,
last season was just a season to forget. So
right.
we
Okay. We're not
ran
talking about that one.
the first time I ran it, we finished uh the first time we ran it. Oh, the first time we ran it, I hit a tire the infield tire
Not allowed to do that, mate. You got to go
at
around them.
Mount Gambier, wrote
Yep.
the chassis off. That was us done.
Really?
First heat, bang,
Oof.
done. So then I did not take that very well because that was like probably the first big crash that I'd had with Normie. And that
Yep.
was probably a very character defining thing because I was like, oh no, what's Normie gonna do and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And credit to him, he's like, oh well, we got the white car, we'll build it up, we'll go again.
What a
Which was
champion. What a
oh
champion.
yeah, he's like I owe so much to him. And yeah, so I sat that one out, and then the next season, we did it. We got fourth in the SummerSlam.
Right.
Um, I s- every time we go to SummerSlam, it's too eventful for me because first year we crashed, second year, normally had a big trail at the time. We were towing it with a BT50, and the BT50 blew up on the way to Simpson. So then we were so lucky that
Wow.
Bill Barrows from Mount Gambier, so
Yeah.
he stopped in his Winnebago, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll go home and get my Hilux." He didn't know us from a bar of soap. So we got his Hilux and we rolled in at Simpson just at the nick of time for me to go to driver's briefing.
Wow.
And they like rolled the car out the trailer, and we were because like Simpson's got a small pit, so we were way out in the boondocks. And yeah, we managed to finish that night reasonably well. I think it finished under red because Kyle Mock did a huge roll, and then he landed on top of me and broke all my shock mounts off. And
Jesus. Wow.
um, yeah, so then we had to go. And again, like the speedway community is amazing. Matty Simmons, he obviously does a heap of sprint car repairs, and didn't know him from a bar of soap. And um, went around to his the next morning, and he welded the shock towers back on for me and let me
Oh,
wash up. And then we went to Warrnambool. We ran pretty well at Warrnambool. That was a pretty awesome track to compete at. And
yep.
I didn't think we did that well. And Normie's like, "Oh no, we got fourth overall." And I was like, "Oh well,
Yeah.
show
Take
show us
that.
we're still there."
Yeah.
And then um, last this season just gone, we went there and we did really well in Mount Gambier. We won. No, we got third at Mount Gambier. We come from like way deep, and that was a cool race. And we just ran out of laps, and then Simpson Heat 1 just out of few guys on the bottom just got tangled up, and I tried to be a hero and sail around the outside, and um,
Yep.
like one thing led to another, and they pushed into each other, and then one guy tried to avoid, and he turned right, and I was there unfortunately, and then broke all the mounts for the Jacobs ladder and stuff, and then so we were gonna fix it up, and then Warrnambool was looking not great for weather, and they ended up raining. That was
Right.
rained out,
Yep.
luckily. So SummerSlam's been great. I love SummerSlam. They promote it so well, and
Yeah.
the whole wrestling belt thing for like the whole SummerSlam working off that WWE theme is so cool. And I don't know, it still eludes me.
I So we didn't go down to that one. A buddy of ours, Jason Davis, he went down this year.
Yep. Mhm.
And he did all right. He did all right. We went north to see SummerSlam down there. Well, King of the Ring up at Toowoomba.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I mentioned before, like I don't know what it is, but when you get series, like series of whether it be 3 nights in consecutive or 2 nights, but you give them a name, you put a bit of hype into it, spend a couple of bucks on advertising on Facebook or something like that. Get someone to give it a bit of a shout out. It makes the event be something worthwhile. And hats off to the Victorian club for doing that with the SummerSlam. I think it's been great. I remember wasn't there a year when they sort of culled the entries and they could only be
Yeah,
Victor.
that was during COVID time.
What
It was a bit
whatever
kind of
happened,
hard.
like irrespective of that, it just to me, if like you're looking at a promoter's perspective, they did a great job because they did that. It made everyone go. Next year, we're getting our entries in quick. We're getting
Yeah,
in like people are making phone calls to anyone with a Victorian registered car. Like, how much to borrow your number for the night? Like, I know we're not allowed to
yeah,
do that, but it made the hype even more. And I'm thinking, man, like that's what we need. I'm looking at the trophies behind you, and I see the Ty Bill stuff because William Crusoe has been very vocal in promoting series as well throughout South Australia, even into Victoria. Is that right? Like
yeah. He does a bit across the border,
it
and
goes across the border. Yeah, like I sit there thinking, man, like there's some great series. You got your club championship, you got your track championships, which I think are all well and good. To be a club champion, I think is a great achievement. A track champion, still a great achievement, but how often does track champions travel? Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they stay one track
yeah,
wonders. Not always. I know. Calm down. Calm down. I know you're not. But I like the idea of series that are promoted well, Ty Bill, and you get around to these other tracks that otherwise wouldn't get the people. And then you
mm,
get good caliber drivers like yourself. You put Mitch Broom in there. Go get Jack McCarthy. Man, Rylan Furler, like that kid is so underrated. I think he's an absolute star. And you
mm,
put these guys in at all these little country tracks. Man, I want to pay money to go watch. Like that's what I
yeah.
think when I sort of think about this. So I guess I'm banging on a bit here. If you had to do one of them, what would you do? Would you go chase a series, or you like a little club championship, or your track championship? What do you like doing?
Oh man, I want to feel like I'm a contracted sprint car driver.
Hell yeah,
Like,
nice. That's what I
I
think.
choose the series all the time.
Yeah,
Like the way you touched on it, the way Victoria do it and promote that SummerSlam is cool. Like, how many times do 60 odd race cars get to go? Like SummerSlam's 4 nights this year.
really?
They've just announced, yeah, Lang.
Wow.
So Lang on the first night, and like that's awesome. That's like the whole sport, and we grew up doing it all through karting and the whole traveling aspect,
Yeah,
like traveling with people, meeting new people. It was like what happens off the track is just as cool as what happens on the track. And
Yep.
like going each night and like we swag it and stuff like that, and we go to like the local swimming pools and have showers and stuff. That each
Nice.
day you pay like $5 and you go have a shower, and that's the whole like I don't know. For a brief moment in time, you feel like you are living the USAC dream.
Yeah.
And like they've done a great job in South Australia, this Tyber series, and they've sort of split it up. I think it's changed a little bit this year, and now they're doing a tri series. So Tyber's Tri Series, I think it's called, and so
Okay.
that'll be at Murray Bridge, Mount Gambier, and the new track at Bordertown.
No way.
Uh, yeah, so the last
Ooh.
race of the Tri Series will be there. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that, and um,
Mark
yeah,
Blyton.
obviously,
Mark Blyton, if you're watching, there's a good one.
yeah.
I know we've been talking about it.
Pretty keen for that.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, just like do all these blue ribbon events and series, and you just feel like you're racing for a little bit more, and you're almost wanted at the track, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're not just a card filler, kind of thing.
Well,
Like,
I keep banging on about it. It's like if you could go and take just 10 years, change the landscape of how Wingless has been pushed towards the general public who come through, even the newcomers that come to a race at Speedway, right? I'm going to get in trouble saying this, and that's fine. I don't mind. I can accept it. But you get the newcomers coming in. They sit on the hill, and they get covered in clay, and they look around going, what are we doing here? But they see everyone else is loving it. They're like, oh, this is normal. Okay. But then you try and explain to them these things with wings need to have time trials, flights, all this other stuff. We're going to see them do one heat, then we're going to your mates. And I think you lose a lot of fans by that because as much as, yeah, it's awesome to see a car do 11 seconds around a track, sure, I want to see that car against another car. Like pole
yeah,
shuffles are awesome, but I want to see cars against another car. And that's where I feel like Wingless, we need to start looking at us in a more proactive way as far as, yeah, we're entertaining. We don't have aero, so you don't have to worry about no aero push that we're starting to hear these sprint car drivers talking about these days. It's more so a fact that our cars move around, and we are three wide sometimes. We're two wide. We're, as you said
oh
before,
yeah,
you
it's
and Jack
been
McCarthy, wheel to wheel, and then, little Kirby Elliott's trying to sneak in there. Like that bloke is, you got to watch him. He's a quick boy, very quick.
yeah,
And you'll get there, and you're sort of watching all this stuff, and you think, man, and I can sort of see it with some of these series, they're starting to promote them to the point where I feel we're going to lose the stigma of the most expensive wheel packers in Australian Speedway to become legitimate
yeah.
race cars.
And that's probably the biggest thing. And I love racing wingless. I think it's a very cost-effective class. Like, and the numbers are just phenomenal. Tell me any other class you could go race in any state and get those numbers. And
Uh,
like, it's gone to the days of us sounding like the wingless sounding like wet tractors or whatever they used to call. Like all these guys got good gear and like it always puts on good racing. Like I've seen B mains that have been like pretty
yeah,
stout.
yeah,
And like we can roll like this SummerSlam, you roll up that night and you have no idea whether you'll even make the show.
yeah,
Like that element of like holy cow, we got to perform here.
yep,
And I remember like our first SummerSlam, and it was like there was more than 60 cars at the first one. It was like 74 or something, and I had like a third, a sixth, and a oh like a no, I think it was like a third and a fifth or something. And I was like, oh, that'll place me pretty well in the A. And I was like 14th in the
yeah.
D,
Oh,
and
really? You
yeah,
got bumped
I
out?
was
Wow.
and I was like, "Holy smokes, we got our work cut out." And yeah, and that's the whole thing of where like I try and push social media and lift the sport, and because it's a big thing. Like our class is gaining traction, and
Oh, yeah,
we have the numbers and we have the ability to push. Like, imagine if like I'm pretty uh stereotypical when it comes to this, but like imagine if everyone's social media improved just like 1%.
yeah,
And like that's like even if you reach one person like each day, like who knows? If you reach one person each day, that's 365 people. One of them, I'm sure, will come on board and either sponsor you, another car, a track, an event, like, and it just grows the sport in that aspect. And you look around, everyone in the pits looks $1 million. like wingless teams. They've all got the right merchandise. Like
Yeah,
we all represent ourselves well,
it's
and
it's crazy. Like the cars used to be slap together stuff, and the drivers' suits used to be very plain off the shelf from Revolution Race Gear or wherever they're
mm,
getting it from. Um, helmets were as they were from the shop, and now you're watching and like to get t-shirts made, like you're wearing now and all the rest. You used to have to get these shirts made and these indent orders, and you'd throw out like easily over $1,000, and
yeah,
then you'd get stuck with old stock and all this stuff.
yeah,
And now you got people like Ink and Tees, other companies like that where they do the Shopify. I'm just not up to
yeah,
scratch with everything,
smaller stuff.
and you don't have to do. I mean, they use you can get shirts to anyone you want by a
Yeah,
click of a mouse. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not outlaying nothing. And then it's changed everything because now everyone's helmets are now painted and like look at your car that you're running. Like I saw this year, like I mean, I remember when you went to when was the Eastern Creek? You came there not last season, season before,
yeah,
and you had a bit of a bad luck run there. And I remember watching you there, and I thought, man, that car is like it's nice looking car. Like, but 10 years ago, the cars weren't like that. So
yeah.
everything's picked up. And then, I mean, now it depends if you want to start talking about what's happening up in Queensland, where they're talking about you're going to have a quad bike or a mule to push your stuff
Uh,
around with. But
that's difficult for any trying to budget race team. Just build a new trailer with Normie and doesn't have room for a quad bike. And
no, mate, we got
uh,
see when we used to have our motorhome, and I should really put this photo up. When we would have a motorhome, we used to just have the car on the back, no problems. And then one day we went to a track, and it was just me and Ty, and we're there, and I had no one to help me push the car around and stuff, and we're having dicky problems with our starter or something. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go buy a quad bike, and I saw all these people running around. Problem is, I'm too fat for a quad bike, right? A little one, so I look like Donkey
yeah,
Kong. So I went and bought a big one, but then the thing was, I never measured it before I bought it, and I actually had to move the front toolbox like 100 mil forward to my car would roll
mm,
100 mil forward. And then I stuck the quad bike sideways on the back. You've seen it leave the track. It looks like a wreck, but anyway, it fitted, so I didn't care. And I think if you want to put a quad bike on, you'll make it fit. Just don't be fat like me, so you can get a smaller one. You know what I mean? But
yeah, yeah. That's something that obviously will come in, and I'm sure every track will bring it in eventually.
what
Like,
you don't like the idea of a pushing around cars to
oh,
staging
it's
areas?
I don't know.
You want USAC feelings, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, but they don't have starters. They run
No, no, that's
V8s.
true. And what
We
would
don't
happen if they
run.
took away our starters? Jeez.
Oh, then yeah, everyone will feel like a USAC driver, and then
Yeah,
before we know it, we're waiting. I don't know, 5 minutes till everyone gets push fired.
that's right. I have to wait in line to get your hero cards next time. Jeez.
Yeah,
That'd be heroes. Yeah. No, that's
but it's a difficult thing, and like not that like it's an added expense, and like I just bought a trailer, and that's not big enough for a quad bike,
not very good.
and
No.
um, it's sort of yeah, it's one of those things. I understand where it's going. Unfortunately, it's sort of unfortunately there has been accidents, and I understand why they're going that way. I really do, and but it's sort of like you're not allowing all the general public in the pits, so everyone in the pits should sort of look out and
Well, that's true. You're spot on right
that
there.
like if you're gonna bring push quads in, let people roll through the pits,
Yep.
like
Bring
walk through the
yep.
pits,
Bring
like
kids back in.
make it more collaborative.
Yep.
That's just my opinion because otherwise, like,
No, you're spot on right.
not I don't want to say like what are we paying our insurances for, but like it's sort of you pay to get in the gate. Well, like what are you paying for?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, Tyson. I think you've raised some good points there. I think uh, one of the things, if they want to bring it in, and like Queensland is saying, we can share a couple of quads between everyone, and you can do that, no problems. But I feel if this means by us pushing the cars around means we're going to get an interactive pit area throughout the course of the night, we're going to have fans coming through and getting first-hand experience what goes on in the pits. I'm
Yeah,
all for it. I love that
yeah. Oh,
idea.
massive. That's
Hands on.
awesome.
I I kind of didn't mind the uh, like the hot zone when you could drive in and stop, then put in gear and drive off. But there's been too many times where I've been at tracks where people who know better have just come flying in and
Yeah,
nothing's done, and all you need is just a small airline in your brake system,
Yeah.
and she may not stop. But anyway, whatever we can do to bring more fans to up close and personal with the cars,
Yeah.
I'm
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 all
huge
for.
on. I think that's going to be great. And just
Yeah.
imagine if you go to one of your SummerSlam series with your 70 odd cars, and
Oh,
halfway through the night they're going to open the pits and let a crowd come through. Like, man, that's going
it's
to be
yeah, and it's cool because that's where you grow the sport. People want to interact with the sport. It's one thing to
absolutely.
go there. I was very fortunate that I had like a racing family, so we'd always go down the pits afterwards. But the
Yep.
average punter on the hill comes and sees the show, and then half the time doesn't even realize that the pits are open at the end of the meeting. But by the time you get to the end of the meeting, everyone's tired and wants to go home.
Yeah, no. I got a rule. We
So,
stay until no beer's left in an esky. It gets a bit crazy sometimes, but that's how we
yes,
do it. Hey,
old man's got a similar rule.
yeah. One thing I want to talk to you about is we've touched on Mildura boy, although born Mount Gambier, come across to Mildura, grew up there. The Australian titles there this season.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, mate? Like, how you feeling?
Uh, I really want to win there.
Yep.
To be completely honest, it'd be awesome to it because I've got some unreal Mildura sponsors that have backed me like 110%, and it's sort of been one thing that's Mildura's always sort of eluded me.
Yep.
First time I ever went there, we were running second in the feature, and guy in the lead, his tire was going down, and we're getting closer and closer to passing him, and then there ended up being too many yellows, and they just called the race.
Oh,
And so I was like cut about that because
wow.
we drove back in, and like his right rear was flat. Um, and then we went there again with, I think for the 50 lapper.
Yep.
We went there, and we were just having heaps of belt issues, which was kind of weird. That's sort of where I met a few of the New South Wales boys, like Brad McCarthy, who was a legend. He helped me out with some belts and stuff like that, and
He's awesome, that guy.
yeah, him and his old man Paul and stuff were
Paul, yeah, top family,
great
yeah.
blokes. And yeah, but we ended up throwing another belt, and it was sort of that was the meeting after the SA title, I think, that we won, and everything just didn't work, and so sat
Really.
there and watched the 50 laps from the infield, and then next time we went to Mildura, we uh, we did really well in the heats and qualified in the front row for the feature. Out of I think qualified on pole actually, and then we thought the track was going one way, and it went the complete opposite way.
When was
And
that? Was that earlier
that was
this
only
year?
recently. Yeah, it was only recently.
It was,
I think Brad McCarthy won it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember that race. Brad, he he absolutely destroyed everyone at Goulburn like the week before.
Yeah, that was right because they were talking about that
Yeah,
when I
mate.
caught up with him.
That we had a starter motor fail on us, so it took us out of the race. He went on to win that one, and I was over the moon. Like, I was devastated about our car, but this dude winning, I thought was fantastic for our sport in New South Wales. I thought it was great. Then we all went to Mildura, and I remember his dad Paul come up to me, and I've always felt terrible about this, right? But he's come up and he's talking. He goes, "Oh, you guys did it right here the other Easter. We were there. Were you there that time we raced Easter? I
Uh
don't.
no, I
I
don't
don't
think I
think you were
was.
there
No.
because we were chasing down. Anyway, Tyson threw it in the wall and destroyed a tire and killed it. But anyway, he said, "Oh, what gearing? Because you guys were fast that day. What gearing?" I said, "Oh, mate, we ran this." Unlike Mark Blyton, if I tell you gearing, it's exactly what we ran. Okay, Mark Blyton,
Yeah.
love him to death. No, he'll give you a number. It doesn't mean anything, right? So
Yeah.
I gave him the actual number. Well, we went out for the first heat. Brad McCarthy went out first heat, and I could hear him as clear as day. He's on the limiter. I'm thinking, oh fuck, what's going on here? And then he's like, come in, and Paul sort of give me a funny look, and I'm thinking, oh no, I swear to God, like that's what we ran because we hit the chip as well. Anyway,
I think I hit the chip too.
yeah, well, I think because
Yeah.
I
Because
ran into
it was flat out on that first heat because it
yeah,
was so juiced up,
did
and
not
it
expect
was
that.
just come in and just lay it in, just did not lift.
Didn't expect that. And I remember speaking to a friend of ours before it, and he told me all about the surface, and I thought I got some inside goss, and I thought, oh yeah, here we go, we're going to destroy everybody. So thankfully, Paul didn't listen to me for the rest of the weekend. and Brad won. So that was really good. I felt sort of we recovered from that, but I need to buy Paul a beer to say, mate, I'm sorry, but that's genuinely what I thought. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
an awesome kid. I remember that one because that track it went from the way it was, and we all ran the bottom, and like you couldn't even get up top for nothing. Like,
Yeah, because we thought we thought it was going to blow off.
yep,
The
same.
bottom was going to blow off, and because the modifieds have been on it for, and they did their like however many laps it was ages, and then
Didn't they have like so many cautions? It wasn't funny. It was
yeah,
almost like
yeah,
50 laps
because
they.
I was telling Normie, I was getting impatient on the dummy grid. I was like, "Come on, mate, we got to hurry this up." Like
Yeah, I think I
Butler,
recall you. Yeah,
the Butler build ain't a lazy boy, and uh, yeah, and then we went out there, and Norman and I were like certain, like last time we come in, it like blew off, it went slick. Like like we set it up like that. And we went out there, and we were so tight
mm,
because the moisture had come back up on the bottom where it looked like it was going slick. The moisture had actually come back up,
yeah,
and so then I tried to run around the top, and I was just oh yeah, and I went back and backwards, and anything I did, and then I was getting frustrated,
yep.
and I was like missing the bottom, and it was just like, this is one of those races you just never want to forget, and
No,
hey, you just always want to forget, and
uh,
um,
Brad made his car like 3 lanes wide, and
he did so well,
yeah.
like because I think Nate Truan was coming on late because he's always a bit of an under the radar.
Does
That's
he
that black
have
58 car.
white wheels or something like that?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know.
yeah,
Okay. I love his wheels. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. He was
He
coming.
He flies under the radar at Mildura every time.
Yep.
And then he come on, and I was like, "Oh, she's getting busy up front." Meanwhile, I was having my own handful back there.
Yeah. No, we went nowhere. And then when the South Australian title came, we're sort of looking at the data we have, and we're thinking, oh, it's going to go back to that.
Yeah,
And then that track wasn't that at all. That track, like, I still think the bottom wasn't the best place to be. Mid to probably mid was better. That's where it was more. You had the rut, so you could just sort of grip off them and bounce. Like
yeah.
Jason Bates
I was
got them a few
watching
times.
Jack when he was trying to chase down Tyson,
Mm.
run sort of that middle line, and then or sort of the bottom, and then swept up coming off the corner and sort of hit those ruts, and it sort
Yeah,
of projected him forward.
gave a
And
lot of drive. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean
and
he
so
was fast. I mean I think if I was a betting man, I had my money on that 23 car.
yeah,
I don't think
it
we were
was.
meant to be there.
But when it that those last few yellows come out, it was sort of anyone's game there for a minute.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
I can't remember where Bates started, like in the double digits, 12 or
yeah,
something,
he
and
started 14th. I watched it
14th,
the other day.
and then he's
Yeah,
there, and you think.
yeah,
But then, like,
um,
I sort of watched it back and I'm thinking, oh, no, sorry, I was talking to Todd Hobson about it. And he was sort of saying, like, there was just this group. And once you could break through that group, you were fine. But then
yeah.
they had the little run
That's
in
the
and,
yeah. That's the I was watching that because I spoke to Todd about it, and yeah, you sort of watch it, and there was a whole cluster of them, and then
yeah.
Jack finally got through them, and then like he kept on, and then you sort of watch Batesy pick their way through it, and Todd
'Cause
and Trav and a few other boys
who
sort of
was
in that cluster.
who was the one who started outside pole? I don't remember who that was. Was it Miller? Was it Miller?
Uh,
I can't remember. He started
no, I
outside
don't.
pole, and I think I can't remember. Someone thought he was going to shoot away, but or because Tyson started pole anyway. And then he sort of hung with Tyson for. Then he fell back, and then but yeah, Jack got him, and then Jack just picked up another bit. I mean, I didn't realize until he was doing those backwards victory laps that yeah, we our left rear bleeder had blown out, and I thought, oh, well, that's why we went nowhere
Yeah,
fast. And
because it didn't make a lot of sense. Tyson was so quick, and then he just started to sort of
yeah, it
slow down
just
a little
I
bit,
thought,
and
all
sort
right,
of
no worries.
seemed a bit odd.
I remember he did say to me he was concerned. Our car is super quiet. I don't know what we got on there, but whatever it is, it's super quiet. It has a nice little wisp when it goes by. It doesn't sound like those clumpy other V6s like other people have. So when he's out by himself, he can only hear his motor, no one else's. But then when he sort of came around to the lap cars, he was making sure he couldn't hear anyone around him. But then he got to one of them and he said, I thought I was good 1 minute. The next minute, it sounded like someone was behind me. Next minute I'm good again. And so he was sort of trying not to get interfered because a couple of those lap cars, 1 minute start high, next minute they're down the bottom, back to the top. And anyway,
Classic.
it's one of those things. Unlike yourself, with two of them, that was his first wingless state title. Anyway, he's won some legend car once, but yeah, it was a good weekend. But like what happened with you, sort of by the time we got through the Park for May deal, a lot of people were sort of gone. I think I managed to grab Andrew May to have a beer with me because everyone else was sort of shot through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things. But look, I'm hoping come the Australian title. The way Mildura put on an event, the way they speak about it, the town gets behind it.
Yeah.
I'm expecting some big things. Like, did you watch the Australian title up at Lismore?
Yeah. I watched. We sat there. Normally, I sat there and watched all of it.
You should have been there. You know that, don't you?
We just didn't have a good season, and I was sick of wrecking stuff, and it was actually quite funny because we sat there for night one, and I was speaking to Ryland Furler actually, and he's like, "Mate, we just peeled the tires off for practice." And I looked at Normie and I was like, "Oh, well, maybe a good thing we didn't go." And then, yeah, credit to Lismore and what they did and that whole team there because that put on way better racing than I thought it was actually going to, and like, yeah, the whole event was pretty impressive. And so I hope Mildura can reflect that. I think they have the team for that.
I think they do.
I know like Geordie Belartho and a few other those guys around the club. I think they will like push to put on a really good event. And
If we could
like,
get those flamethrowers when people go across the line, those things were amazing. Like, we're not going to use them for any silly antics after the race, I promise. No, we will. But we need lots of flames, fireworks. We need, just bring flames. We need flames. The driver intros are awesome.
Pyrotechnics. Yeah, the driver intros are actually cool. I didn't expect that. But the pyrotechnics are like, I don't know. To be completely honest, I don't know how much they cost, but it's a little thing that makes an event feel big.
Yes.
When watching Jacob Jolly go over that line with those fire going off in the background, like I felt like that was like just Knoxville Nationals kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was sort of just blown away at like what they'd done, and like I didn't even expect it either. Like Normie and I both looked at each other and were like, "Wow, that was cool."
Mate, what about Hobson driving around in a tank?
Yeah,
that was badass.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. I was actually confused. I didn't even know really what they were in, and then when they started explaining, I was like, it was pretty cool, and it's pretty cool for him and his family. Obviously, Ebony was driving their car.
Yeah, that was super.
Around them.
They were pitted just down from us, and I saw this sort of army thing going. I'm thinking, what the? And I saw him walk past, and I saw these cargo, and I saw Ebony in it. I'm thinking, hang on, tools down, mate. I can't work for a sec, Tyson. I'm going to go watch. And I thought,
it's that whole thing where like for instance, like Bathurst, like the winner of last year's Bathurst, like walks the trophy up to like a pedestal, and it's like, this is what you're racing for. Like, it's these tiny little things that make an event big, or even feel big. Like I've watched some of your other videos. I know you touched on the hat thing, and it even comes down to, I remember back, I think the first race meeting I raced at Mildura, they were still doing it, but they used to, like, when you win a heat race, you go and you stop for like the chat, and they interview you, and they give you a monster energy drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they get, and it was like you get a Monster Energy for a monster drive.
Oh, and awesome!
You come in. I don't drink Monster Energy.
No, hell no. But yeah,
I was like, normally I was like, how cool is this? Like, we got a can of energy drink, like and let alone getting like hats and things like that, and like hell, half of that, it's just a little bit of like appreciation. And
yeah, I remember when we went to that King of the Ring up in Queensland, right?
Yeah,
Tyson won one of his heats, so they came around to get that photo that they do, which I think's amazing. I think it's great, right?
SA do it all the time. I love it.
Yeah. A lot of clubs do it, and thank you very much to the clubs for doing it from a fan's perspective. I love it. I love to see it. Keep it up. They came around to do that. I said, "Oh, look, Tyson's not here." I have a feeling it was Rebecca from the Queensland club. She said, "Oh, you can stand there." So she got a photo of me holding it. I thought, okay, cool. And I was sort of happy in one sense that I got a new, profile pic for LinkedIn. And then on the other side of me, I'm like, Tyson should be the one doing this. Anyway, Tyson came and I said, "Oh, can you get another photo?" so we can send it to his mum or whatever. And so she came and did that, and then he went to hand the sign back to her, and she goes, "Oh no, that's yours." They worked out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they worked out. Every heat winner got that sign.
Oh, that's cool.
So I thought,
And, like,
man,
this is what I mean, like, you go to Bunnings, and Corflue is not that expensive, let alone if you were to get a sign shop to come on board, if they only gotta be little,
yeah,
like, Corflue signs, and then no doubt, like me, you go and hang it up in the shed, and you just be like, "How cool is that?"
yep, I
Like,
agree with you. Some
it's
people,
not it's not a huge bank check like they
no,
get in like, in America, but hell, it still feels cool, and, like, I would nearly rather those Corflue signs over a trophy any day.
yeah. I mean, what was the event? We had an event somewhere. You know what? I think it might have been Lismore. They did some cool trophies up there. I've seen throughout the course of racing. Like I can't remember if it was this year, last year, it might have been Chile race, whatever it was. But they just do different things. And but yeah, the core flutes, something small. The hats. Um, I remember Tyson came back in the pits after winning his heat, and his hat appeared. I thought, where'd you get that from? He goes, oh, they're giving them
Yeah.
out. That's what I love.
Eh,
He really pays attention. He goes, oh,
yeah.
they're giving them out. I'm like, oh, what? Do you just go stand in line or something? Like, and then he won the second heat and he came back in. He had another one. I'm thinking, hang on a second. And then I'm watching all the race winners now wearing these hats. I'm thinking, so I hung them up in the truck in the trailer. I thought these are awesome. Like
Yeah.
that blew me away. And I was really excited
Yeah.
to see you tonight. And then I see you wearing a lockdown hat. But that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
well, it's yeah,
It's all right.
unfortunate.
We'll let it slide. But I agree with you on that. It's how some people call it stupid call flute or hat or can, but it helps make the event something. You know, it's
Oh,
giving it
that's
something.
yeah, that's right. And like, look at this. Look at what's happening right now. That hat you've spoken about and your podcast, and it goes a long way for people. People underestimate how much people appreciate that little stuff. Like, um, yeah, like I think Mildura will do a really good job, and I think the town will get around them, and the publicity I think will be a really good thing, and they they deserve to have like, and I really who do hope they get a massive car count because they've put a lot of time into that track. That whole
They
committee has done so well, and that is getting to be like a really good facility, and I think it has like Jeff Fell and people doing the track there are really trying, and it's really good. And we're getting like in the heat races, we were able to run at the top and the bottom at Mildura, and so like I think it has such a good opportunity for two line racing and like an actual track where it's wide open enough to throw a slider. You get a few tracks where it's like touch and go to run a slider, but I really do hope and I do believe that come the Australian title for the Aussie title, the A main for the Aussie title, I think and I hope the track shows what it can actually do because are going to be one of the hotly contested racer tracks. Like you got to earn it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm looking forward to towing all the way over there. They've got a couple of races there this season, which is good to look at. I'm going to try and see if we can put a second car there just to make it easy because, yeah, we love Mildura. We love going there. Man, look, I know it's been a while. One quick thing before you go wingless racing, right? What can we do to make wingless racing great? Like, what are steps? And I'm not trying to say it's not great at this moment. I'm just saying, what are things perhaps we can look at to ensure, yeah, it's a fun thing for everyone. What can we do?
Uh, I think, like you touched on, it's in a good place, and I think there's obviously a few topics that people talk about that everyone's got their opinions on. I think, like, really at the moment, it's just the biggest thing is like getting a name out there, social media, clubs, getting these little series, like even little 5 round series and stuff like that. Um, put leaderboards up of points and stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
a big fan of that. Yeah,
I get sucked into that something chronic.
how
Um,
I don't see why it has to be a secret sometimes.
no,
Yeah,
and, like, it creates more hype because people
yep,
go like, "Oh, I'll go there because 'cause I'm, like, in the hunt, like, if that
yep,
person doesn't do well and rah-de-rah," and those little leaderboard things take no time at all, to update, and I think, yeah, just trying to help lift the profile of the sport, do the right thing with the right ads, like, they're the series that did a really good ad recently and the one they did for the Aussie title and like get on board and promote it how like the sprint cars get promoted, because
Mhm.
like we have the capability to do that and we have the capability to put on good racing. It's more like you touched on, we just looked at a second tier development thing, though. Like, where'd all the good drivers from sprint cars come from?
Well,
Um,
okay. My argument to that is go show me a good sprint car driver who's come back to wingless and done good.
yeah, well, and
I'm not saying they
that's the
can't. I'm
thing.
just saying I haven't seen one. Like, show me. Like, we've
Yeah,
had a few sprint car guys step down to wingless in New South Wales, and it's like, well, yeah, they can run mid pack or whatever, but they're not winning. Like,
yeah. And I don't know. I just don't want. I just hope for wingless that it doesn't end up in a direction where it steers it away from the budget racer.
yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm
that's
worried
my
about with this
biggest
motor
worry,
deal.
because
Yeah.
we like we haven't had any issues trying to get certain things for certain topics, and um, I just believe like our class is built on budget races, and like then you have those few people at the top that want to spend that extra and want to run with all the amazing gear. But hell, like we we had nothing new on that car we won from the state title. It was like 2002 Eagle that had like a dent in the frame because a forklift had ran into it, and
Nice.
um, yeah, it was like all bent and twisted and stuff like that. And um, I feel like there is opportunity to grow the sport without having to spend a huge amount of money. That's my biggest opinion, and I hope that people at the top have that sort of vision to not let it steer away from the budget racer. Essentially,
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, and I agree with you with 100% with that. I think, yeah, I think it is in a good place, but I feel we can sort of push a bit more, get the voices out of the drivers. I'd love to speak to Normie one time, so yeah, I'll probably have to hit you up later on in the season to have a chat with him because he sounds like he's going to be a good person to talk to, a bit of a character. But I think, yeah, if we could just get the voice out there, mate, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much for staying with me. I will try and lean on you throughout the course of the season if I can to get some updates. How you going?
oh,
How
by all
everything's
means,
going on in South Australia? Results, tracks, stuff like that. Um,
absolutely, love to.
yeah, awesome, mate. Before I go, I'll give everyone an opportunity to let people know who's helped them get to where they are today. So let's see if you understand that part of the gig. See how Aussie Drive, what was it? The Aussie Australian Speedway Rising Stars or Speedway Australia Rising Stars program. How did that sit with you? But yeah, name the people who helped you get to where you went.
Obviously, first off, it's Normie and Naomi and the whole MFR racing team. The Moores boys, so Brenton, Daryl, and Normie from Moores Saw Sharpening. Obviously, they're massive help. And Jason and Emma from GBM Consulting, they're a huge partner of mine and really helped me get up and down the road. Greg, Sean, and Aiden from James Transport, they've always backed me ever since my first year in karting. So I cannot appreciate their
Wow.
support. They've
Yeah,
always stayed
nice.
on board, which is an amazing thing for me. And Forbesy from Zilzy Wines, Brad Weber from Weber Racing Industries, he helps us out. Matt and Aaron from Amjon Project Engineering, Donna from KCK Lubricants, Matt and Oki from M1 Tires Mildura, Tom and Andy, they're close friends of ours from Auto Spiral Gear, and they help me with all my engine development and stuff that I need. And I'm really, really appreciative. They put a lot of hours and a lot of effort into me and trying to help me move forward with a few of my programs. And yeah, of course, Dad, Trudy, my whole family that all helps out behind the scenes and comes and supports me. And I got so many friends that come and help and when I need it. And yeah, trust me, there's plenty of people I could go on all day, but they're the main few.
Well, mate, you do them all proud, and yeah, thank you very much for all those people who got behind you, because especially the Moore family for giving you that chance. I think it's amazing. Yeah, thanks again. For everyone else, thank you very much for tuning in to episode 7. Sorry, I'm not feeling 100%. That's why I was drinking earlier. But stay tuned to see who I've got for episode 8. It's going to be a cracker. And till then, I'll see you next time. Thank you.